So yeah, my name is Matt Lennox. I'm the GIS administrator at the city of Oshkosh, and I've been using FME for probably like 5 years now or so. I learned it at my last job in Portland, Oregon, and then I just started at the city of Oshkosh here in July. And what the city has done, and this has been going on for years, even before I was there. They've they've entered themselves into what's called the Child Abduction Response Team, or CART, which is a multi-jurisdictional response to when a child goes missing. And what they've done is developed a program to help track when leads come in, and then when a response is happening, where things are in the field, and just sort of tracking all that into one database. So what this is called is Leads Tracker, and there was a mapping component to it, but it was being manually updated using ArcGIS Online. And what really needed to happen was there needed to be an automated process to map that data that comes into the Leads Tracker application. So when a child goes missing, an incident is created, and there's all sorts of statistics, like if you can formalize your response and get everybody on the same page as fast as you possibly can, the faster that leads to finding a missing child. And so having this sort of formalized response is really important. So what automating this is able to do is to help enable CART to quickly deploy targeted search and rescue resources. And so some of the challenges with this were to replace the old manual processing of compiling and mapping incoming data, produce and deliver a real-time visual map back to the command center so that people who are making decisions, the incident command leaders who are making decisions, can more or less see everything happen in real time on the map. And so some of the things that we use to do this, where we had our Leads Tracker application with our SQL database that sort of runs in the background, or that does run in the background. We have FME Desktop, FME Cloud, and then the map visualization part, which is ArcGIS Online. So I use FME Desktop to author some scripts that reads the location information that's entered into the SQL database, and then writes it out to ArcGIS Online, and automating that process through FME Cloud with webhooks and the SQL code. So I'll show some examples of that in a few slides. Some of the main components of that were the Microsoft SQL Server readers, webhooks, the attribute managers, geocoders, vertex creators, etc. So like I said, I do have a slide of the FME script in a little bit. But here's just what the Leads Tracker application looks like. So when a child goes missing, an incident would be created in it, and each incident has its own unique ID. Usually there's only one, but I guess there could be multiple in the same incident. But in that Google Maps dropper, or that Google Maps icon there, you can use that dropper to drop where the hypothetical location of the child was. That spits out a lat long into the database, and when that add button is hit, a webhook is triggered that writes that location out, creates a point, and then does a quarter-mile buffer around it, because statistics show if you can, within 2 hours of the last known location, a missing child is more than likely within a quarter-mile buffer of that area. So that quarter-mile buffer gets written out to the map as well, and that kind of helps concentrate initial search and rescue operations. So here's just a real simple FME script. So it's reading that incident table in the SQL database that's running behind the scenes. It's creating a vertex, doing some attribute manipulation, and then writing out the place last seen based on that lat long, and then also creating that 0.25 mile buffer. The where clause in the script it's getting its value from a published parameter that gets inserted into the webhook, into the SQL code. So if there were multiple incidences, only one incident would be processed at a time. And this sort of same process is the same if you're mapping the other components such as leads and assets, which I'll get to too in a second. But here's an example of what the webhook looks like. So in the SQL code, that incident ID, the default value for it is null, but the SQL code inserts whatever incident ID is put into the database when that incident gets created in Leads Tracker. And so this runs in 4.2 seconds approximately. So it's super fast. And it provides people in the command center that real-time information that they need, that automates it. And so as soon as that incident gets entered, it gets put onto the map and they can see it then in real time. And so this is what the ArcGIS Online map looks like. And so there's a place last seen and then that quarter-mile buffer around it. And like I said, leads and assets get automatically mapped using the same methodology. So if somebody calls in and says, oh, I see some suspicious activity here, or I see something that they think authorities might need to know, that gets put into the Leads Tracker database. There's a location, on the such and such corner, or maybe at a gas station or whatever it may be. As soon as that comes into the Leads Tracker, the webhook is triggered and it runs an FME script that maps that lead or that asset. So some of the results: automatically writing the lat-long marker positions from the SQL database into ArcGIS Online in seconds. And again, this allows the CART team to see critical real-time data from the command center. So as before, this information was coming in and the GIS team was manually trying to map these locations. And as these incidents unfold, things happen so quickly that the mapping never really got completely up to date. So the map was not as useful as it is now, that it's just being automated. So, and again, if anything changes from the SQL database and Leads Tracker application, that automatically gets written out to and gets reflected onto the map, which is really useful. So now we're able to fully utilize a complete real-time mapping environment, and the spatial data is mapped more accurately and efficiently through lat-long and geocoders than trying to manually place these points and locations on the map. So here you can see that place last seen is the red asterisk and the 0.25 buffer around it. Triangles are some leads that came in, and then around there, incident command leaders that put in roadblocks or medical stations or whatever. And around that buffer area where initial search and rescue starts to take place. So some tips on this. I hadn't used published parameters before, so I took the FME desktop advanced training to learn more about published parameters. I was able to get through it really easily. I had never used webhooks before either, but understanding how to use webhooks was a huge benefit. FME server is amazing. We use FME Cloud in the FME server in the cloud, and it's been I've used it for many other things, not just this, but in the city with other processes, and it's been extremely useful. Become a member of the FME community to find valuable information. And just ending with a quote, FME automatically updates spatial data within seconds versus the manual updates that were very time consuming. And this really was the missing component. I don't know how we would have been able to automatically map without it. So it's been a huge help in building up our CART team. Thank you.